Owen Farrell should never have been called up to the British and Irish Lions tour to Australia. Why has Owen Farrell been called up? Is there issues at 12? Is there leadership problems? Is there an issue at 10? I'm going to get into all of that, but firstly, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who has supported the show so far. If you haven't, can you please subscribe to the channel? Can you comment, interact, share? It's a desperate plea. It's not. It's just saying thank you and to keep growing the show. And also my latest episode with a wonderful human being, an absolute phenomenon, the musician Stephen Wilson Jr. is up now. I know it's a step outside of my lane, some might say, but it's not out of my lane when it comes to interest. I am wickedly and lovingly into music and his music specifically. And like I mentioned on the show, it had a profound effect on me listening to his album, Son of Dad, and we talk about it. It's a deep conversation. It's an important conversation. It's a necessary conversation. And I absolutely love this. So if you haven't, please check it out. I'll put something up in my stories. It'll be on my social channels, on Instagram, Jim Hamilton 4, and The Big Jim Show, across all of them. But let's get into it. Owen Farrell has caused a stir. Maybe not him specifically, maybe his dad for calling him up into the British and Irish Lions squad. So just a little bit of context. People already know about Owen Farrell's story. One of the greatest players of our generation, England captain. And there was a bit of a fallout with himself and the fans and the media, which caused him to step down from playing for England after the World Cup. For me, I interviewed Owen a couple of weeks ago. The episode's up on all the channels as well, and I've seen a different side of Owen Farrell since he left his England position as captain, since he left Saracens, went to play in France. I saw a kind of humility, a vulnerability to him that I haven't seen. So I wanted to give a little bit of context of this isn't just winging it, which sometimes we do. This is having spent a bit of time with Owen Farrell, clearly close to the British and Irish Lions, and watching their performances and watching the makeup of the team, and unfortunately seeing some of the injuries and reading some of the comments about Owen Farrell getting called up, and trying to put all this into a position where I can speak about it, but you can interact and comment and understand where I'm coming from. Because I put a tweet out and I understand why Owen Farrell's been called up, but I also understand why a lot of people are upset. I don't know why they're angry, but I can see why you're upset and you'll have a different opinion on it. I get it. It's subjective. This is what it is. This is the beauty of sport, and this is the beauty of the British and Irish Lions tour. When the squad got announced, there weren't too many where people were like, how's he not going? Why has this not happened? But we knew getting into the nuts and bolts of the tour with injuries and Owen Farrell specifically that there was a chance that he might get called up. Why? Why has he been called up into the British and Irish Lions squad to replace his teammate, now teammate again, because he's gone back to Sarries, Elliot Daly, who was an outside bet for the Lions, but understood why, can cover the back three, specifically played 15 when he got injured at the weekend. And Andy Farrell, Owen's dad, hasn't called up a like-for-like, Tom Jordan, or he hasn't called up a player that might be seen as more worthy. What does that mean? Well, played last season internationally, which Owen hasn't for 2 years, or just over 2 years, and a player that is fit and has shown his form. Tom Jordan, Darcy Graham, Blair Murray. So these are the three players that people are going back and forth on how and why have these not been called up. So, been sat on it. I'm with my agent, more so my friend in the studio who's worked with Owen and understands the psyche around it. So if I miss anything now, you can hit me with it, okay? We were talking about it. Is there an issue within the British and Irish Lions squad that Andy Farrell, Owen's dad, let's just take that out of it now, because from Andy Farrell's point of view and his perspective, his legacy, I suppose, by picking his son, and if the Lions end up losing the series and Owen starts at 10 and Finn Russell gets dropped and all of this happens, which I don't think will happen, then Andy Farrell's legacy, I suppose, credibility could be tarnished. Okay, it ain't going to happen. So why has Owen Farrell been called up? Why do I think he's been called up? My personal opinion is they've called up a leader. And what does a leader mean? Okay, there's a number of different ways that you can package it. I'm looking at the Lions' leadership specifically. Undeniable, they've got talented players. I'm looking at historic tours. You go back as far as 97. Icons of the game: Martin Johnson, Lawrence Dallaglio, Keith Wood, Rob Howley, like players that were natural born leaders. And then you can go all the way in the tours before, the likes of Alan Wynne-Jones, Sam Warburton, Brian O'Driscoll, Paul O'Connell. Like, you could literally name 15, 20 players. One thing when I looked at this Lions series was that they were lacking out-and-out leadership. So yes, they've gone for Maro Itoje as captain. Played with Maro. I know Maro. Coached Maro. Brilliant player. He's a quiet leader. Okay? So when I'm looking at the profile of the team, you've not got Caelan Doris, who is a quiet leader, but a natural-born leader, captain of Ireland, gets injured, so he isn't in there with a Maro Itoje. Either of them could have been captain. You've got Ellis Genge, who is leading the emotional charge. You see that in the changing rooms. You've seen that in all the footage that you've seen. So I'll get straight into what I think. I think that there could potentially be a lacking of an emotional voice and experience which comes with that. And I think this new version of Owen that I've seen personally, that I think everyone will start to see, where he's been humbled slightly and he probably misses the international scene and thinking the opportunity of the Lions might not be there, would have been gone. And not that he didn't see the value, but I think he really, really missed it. And he's coming back into this fold a new man or a different man. And he brings that out-and-out leadership. And I think when I look through that squad for the first time, I'm like, first time, well, you've seen it. First cap for the Lions, first time. And I tweeted it, and I said specifically that there's a niceness, a smiliness to this Lions team. Like, it's getting serious now. And the Argentina game showed you just how serious this game and this tour is. And if you know, the build-up was so good and it was so happy and it was so inclusive and collaborative, and they lost against Argentina. And they've had these two games which, let's not be harsh, they're provincial sides that are underperforming in the super competition, and based on performance, they're average clubs. And the Lions have put 50 points on them, but they haven't looked unbelievable. And I just think, right, when they get to the test matches and the training weeks and stuff like that, by adding someone like an Owen Farrell in, you have a proven leader and a proven performer at the highest level. Against New Zealand in 2017, he kicks the goal in 78 minutes that draws the series. You've got someone that's been there and done it. But then I'm thinking, and we were talking, is there an issue somewhere else in the squad that Andy Farrell needs to plug that hole, right? Because it ain't 10. I can't see Owen Farrell playing 10. If I am, I will be, unless something's happened between Finn and Johnny Sexton and he's got the ear of Andy Farrell. Finn Russell, for me, starts at 10. He starts all three tests. And Finn Smith's been great as well. Maybe they don't have the trust of Finn Smith. I don't know. Maybe there's something in training that they've seen. I don't think that that's the case. Is it Marcus, that they don't see Marcus as filling in at 10? Because for me, Marcus ain't a 15. So they got their 10s, right? So I'm thinking maybe a 12. Yeah. Maybe a utility bench player. I get the subjective nature to interaction, and Darcy Graham or a Tom Jordan or a Blair Murray should have gone ahead of him. If you're going based on form, okay, then Tom Jordan's your man, right? To replace Elliot Daly. I actually thought Tom Jordan should have went ahead of Elliot Daly. I love Darcy Graham, and to my Scottish audience, Darcy Graham is one of my favourite rugby players. That is not a like-for-like replacement for someone like Elliot Daly, who can cover and can kick, okay? I can see it. I can see why they've gone for Owen Farrell. A 10, a 12, been there, done it. But I also understand how it's a ballsy call. He hasn't played internationally for 2.5 years. He's been injured for the majority of the season in France. He's struggled for form. He's struggled for confidence in that place, in that space. And, you know, someone was saying if it wasn't Andy Farrell, if it's a Warren Gatland, would he have called Owen Farrell up? I think he would have done. I think he's got that much credit in the bank. And you look at, I'm not saying, I don't know, I'm not in the squad. I'm just thinking of reasons why they would have called it up, because it wouldn't have just been Andy Farrell. He would have had say, but it would have been the other coach. Richard Wigglesworth played with Faz for years. He knows him inside out. Okay, they know the psyche of the man. He would have been looked at his physical state and mental state at Saracens. He's 100% fit, apparently. He ain't played, and that's the big thing. But what you said there, going into that environment now, and it looks nice. They're all smiling, and this is harsh, right? Because I've been pushing for content and access, and you're seeing all that, and it looks nice, and it looks smiley, and it looks fun. And that ain't Owen. Owen is none of them things, and they know that, right? So they know that they could potentially be throwing a cat amongst the pigeons within that environment. But it won't be, because Owen is universally respected. But just going to the comments and the interaction for the people watching this, I get it, right? Darcy Graham was unlucky to miss out. Blair Murray, I had him as an outside bolter. He's a wicked player, right? But he's been playing for Wales, with all due respect, and he's been standing against Scotland. He was absolutely phenomenal. But he lost every game, okay? And that's the facts of it. I don't want to be harsh. That is what happened. Like, he lost every game. So is he proven at the very, very highest level? The one for me is Tom Jordan, right? And it's funny, because probably the people talking about Tom Jordan are the ones that are saying that James Lowe or a Matt Hansen or a Bundy Aki or a Sione Tuipulotu shouldn't be, or a Pierre Schouma or a Duan van der Merwe. Actually, there's a few that shouldn't be in the squad. You've got a British and Irish Lions icon. I just want the fans just to get behind him, get behind Andy Farrell, get behind your team. Do you know what I mean? Because I actually saw, I wrote it down here. Tim Morgan tweeted me. This is the last tweet that I saw in reply to my tweet about Owen Farrell, and I think it is a good call. I didn't say it's the right call. I would have gone for Freddie Stewart, which is divided opinion. But Tim Morgan, Jim, they could beat this Australia team whilst holding hands, singing Kumbaya with their eyes closed. That out there is the general perspective of Australia. So as a casual fan, they'll be like, well, they're going to win 3-0 anyway. It's not the case. This Australia team are good. They are physical at the gain line. Defensively, they're very smart. They are coached by a world-class coach, and it means everything to them. So for anyone who thinks that this Australia team are soft and you could be singing Kumbaya, Tim Morgan, this is why they've brought Owen Farrell in. Because I think there's maybe this kind of feeling that it's great to be on tour. It's great to be a British and Irish Lion, but where are the Where are the savages in this team? Genji, right? Yeah. Dan Sheehan, world-class player. You've not nailed down your tight edge yet. Maratoji as captain probably cemented himself in that position after the game against the Queensland Reds, but naturally there's always going to be questions, because that's what happens in that position, because you're not Paul O'Connell, you're not Martin Johnson. Bat Rose up for debate. Jack Conan, decent leader, okay? Henry Pollock, wicked player, but Jameson Gibson Park, world class. Finn Russell, world class, but leader ain't rolling off the tongue when you're saying these names. Sione Tuipulotu, yeah, he's a leader, best player for Scotland, he's captain. 13's up for debate. Bat three wingers, fullback. You ain't picking a captain, or you're not picking someone. Owen could play 10 and be brilliant. He could play 12 and be brilliant. But he can also be stood on the sidelines as that coach, as that player, as that influence, as that kind of like the worry on your shoulder that if you're not performing, you're accountable. And that's what Owen Farrell does. He holds players accountable. He holds his teammates accountable. I've been in teams with him. It was uncomfortable, you know, and that's a sign of my weakness as opposed to him doing that. I've changed my mind around Owen Farrell. I've seen the vulnerability. I've seen the new man. I respect Andy Farrell wholeheartedly. If any man knows what he's doing, it's him. And you know what? It's going to be a hard couple of weeks as they integrate Owen, because Andy Farrell's going to keep getting asked the question. So regardless if they're on social media, regardless if they've watched the Big Jim show, they're feeling the heat on bringing in his son, who hasn't played international rugby for over 2 years. He's been injured on and off for the last 12 months. And look, for me, we're there for the stories. We're there to pass judgment. Everyone can have an opinion, but just be nice. You don't need to be horrible around certain individuals. Have your opinion. You can comment below. You can be horrible if you want. That's your prerogative, okay? But just don't swear because they get deleted. So if you've got an opinion, please comment below. I've given my kind of reasons why. I feel bad on Darcy Graham. He should have been there from the start. He's not. I feel for Tom Jordan because he's a utility bat. I don't feel for Blair Murray. I would have loved to see him go. He's a brilliant player to watch. But Owen Farrell, undeniable. You look at his CV, you look at the player interactions, you look at the coaches' interactions. He's one of the game's most valuable players. And let's be happy that the British and Irish Lions have him and that he's back in a Saracens jersey, probably an England jersey as well. But he's back wearing that red jersey and it's great for the game. So let's get behind the boys. Enjoy.